So welcome back to Wisdom Chats. I am Susie Verde, your host. Tonight we have a lovely guest. Her name is Meghan Don. She is the author of the book, The New Divine Feminine, a Spiritual Evolution for a Woman's Soul. Beautiful, wonderful book. Oh, Meghan.
Hi, Susie.
Welcome back.
Good to be back with you.
So on part one of our interview tonight, we explored with Meghan lots of different aspects of Mary Magdalene and the importance of her teachings in the modern world, and how it is that we can become fully embodied in our call and learn with the different aspects of the feminine that Mary Magdalene expresses so beautifully. And according to Meghan, therefore, we actually covered the daughter of light and the mother of light. In this second segment, we are now going to jump into the third aspect of the divine feminine, which is the grandmother of the ancient days. So I imagine, Meghan, that the grandmother, it's almost like the sage. The
crown.
The crown, yes. It's the next stage of the wisdom process in which we acquire by being totally present to divine womanhood. Is that? Please explain better.
Right. So we can understand this grandmother as one who is now a little bit outside of life. Her vision is so expansive. It's a very cosmic vision. It is able to see the destiny of the world and all the worlds. It brings you to what we can call a primordial wisdom. So this is going beyond your everyday little aha moments. It's going beyond your regular thoughts. It's taking you into another dimension of wisdom. And so, just on a human level, grandmothers have kind of gone through life, right? They've gone through their own life. They've gone through being a mother. They're now the grandmother, and they can kind of step back a little bit from life. So if you take that and put it into cosmic proportions, you've kind of got this crone, this grandmother of ancient days. I mean, just feeling into that title, the grandmother of ancient days. She has a wisdom that also is very particular. And what I mean by that is she now has no patience for anything other than what is going to serve the greater good of all. So she has no patience or no time for the ego. She has no time for greed. She has no time for selfishness. She is all about maintaining and coming into the evolution of life. And so if we are doing anything in our personal life, for instance, that is stopping us from evolving, she will come in and she will let us know very clearly that we are off track, that we are blocking, that we have obstacles, that we might be getting a little ego-driven, that we might be out of integrity. And how does she do this? It's what we can understand as the mystical death. Whether it might be something like a divorce, it might be something losing your job, it might be a health crisis. She normally speaks in pretty firm tones.
To me, what you're describing almost sounds like the karma principle. Like, you reap off what you sow. You have, you lose conditions in your life as as a consequence of your wrongdoings, quote unquote.
It's similar. It's similar. Yeah, very much so. Where I would say, yeah, that where the crone comes in is when we have not heard the initial or felt the initial nudges of that initial karma. So, you know, we might get it might be gentle to start with, you know, but we don't really take any notice.
So do you think that, like, on a global perspective, what the world is going through now is like, you know, the grandmother yelling at us and saying, stop, that's enough.
Yes.
Is enough. I'm going to send you all sorts of tribulations so that you can wake up to your greatness. I can't take it anymore. Is that?
Yes. Because she has a deep understanding of divine order. Right. And when things are out of divine order, then she will come in. There is this, like, well, it just gets harder and harder and more chaos, more and more until we do wake up.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So most definitely, I'm really feeling that we are in these grandmother of ancient days times.
You know what I love, Meghan, about this teaching is that most people would imagine a male presence, a male authority, you know, God in his throne with his long beard, like sending a ray to planet Earth because, you know, we've done so many bad things. And I kind of feel that this is very off-putting to a lot of people these days because, you know, people say, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, people that are more open to gnosis, the knowledge, to different and broader ways of seeing things, you know, really have a difficulty in accepting that. And but, you know, when you talk about the grandmother, I think about Mother Earth herself.
Exactly.
And another image that comes to me is Mother Kali in the Indian tradition, which is the destroyer, right?
Yeah, this is it. But we also got to understand that this grandmother is also not necessarily outside of us, but is within each of us. So it is our own energy trying to awaken us.
Wow. Okay, so let's rewind this one. This is very cool. So what you're saying is that not only this is happening on the outside level, but it's also happening on the inside level in terms of, you know, yes, we're having a lot of big collective wake-up calls, and we're also having personal wake-up calls. And those personal wake-up calls are opportunities for us to wake up to something big and wonderful that wants to be birthed, but it requires a special, it needs to be facilitated. It needs to, we need to create space in our lives for that transformation to take place.
Absolutely. And it really needs alignment. We need to come back into alignment and into balance. Now, it's very interesting, Susie. The original meaning of justice was in balance, to be in balance. And so that is
justice has a balance, you know, and the icon of justice. In the tarot cards, and
so that is what is being called for in all walks of life right now, is true justice. And you can also understand a kind of a guardianship in this role of the grandmother, you know. So this grandmother can rise up, and yes, there may be dissolution, but then there can also be a new rising. And in that new rising, there can be a renewed understanding and a renewed guardianship for a renewed world and way. So she brings a lot to us. I feel very much more on that cosmic level and on the worldly level. But yes, it is a reflection of everything going on within. And it's just going to get more and more magnified.
Yes.
Until people really come into the realization of the great web of existence and the great web of connection that we are all in. So we're all going to be suffering until we all awaken on some level,
Yeah. Well, and also I would say that the idea that so many people these days are more interested in the possibility of change, which I translate as a deep inner need for awakening, because they feel this void, they feel this lack of meaning, they feel like, well, we've got the big houses, we've got the jobs, we've got the families, and this is like, one could say, well, so are you only talking about people that are successful? No, even people that are not that successful still have a calling for greatness. We all do in one way or the other. And some people make space for it, and some people numb themselves.
Right.
And,
Yes.
and so what I hear you say is that we pay a price when we try to numb ourselves.
Yeah.
Because in today's days, it's very important that if you hear a call, that you answer the call by doing whatever you can to be more aligned with something greater, that it's not just the here and now, and not even the problems that you're experiencing the here and now. There's something much more holistic available in terms of your, a wiser way of living. And as you said, if you don't wake up, you might suffer a lot. That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah. And I like what you bring forward about the spaciousness, because it seems that is one of our most precious commodities.
Yes.
And one needs to consciously create the spaciousness.
Yes. In a world filled with distractions.
I know. And one does not wait to be able to fit it in somewhere. No, one consciously creates that spaciousness, whether it's early in the morning, in the evening, some part of the day. Quite frankly, we almost need that monastic rhythm, but in a way that can be lived in our everyday life.
Yes.
So even if it's a small amount in the morning and somewhere in the middle of the day and in the evening, to just feel yourself, to listen to yourself, so that when you're doing this, then you don't need this kind of knock on the head or the distraction to come to wake you up and make you listen. Yes. So, and of course, the other aspect of the grandmother is, if you are making the space, if you are listening, then you really start to experience magic in your life. Because it's then you're going through mystical death in another way, not in a way that is chaotic or destructive or painful, but in a way that's ecstatic, in the way that, the old understandings just fall off you and you awaken to a new level of being. So it's actually an enjoyable process. So that when you come into the enjoyable process, then magic in your life just starts happening. Synchronicities happen. Yes. You think something, it happens. It's just really in a different way.
Which I think I just would like to make a point here. A lot of people think of manifesting or synchronicity or, materializing things that they want. But it's almost like they're fixed on the result part, like, so if I do this, that, and the other, then I'll have the car, or I'll have the man, or I'll have the job. But I think that really, what we're talking about here is you're coming from this deep soul space in
Mhm.
which you know, it's not a means to an end. It's the ecstasy of the space
Mhm.
itself that
Mhm.
actually changes everything about who you are.
Right.
And perhaps you might not even want the same things after you've gone through this process, because you
Exactly.
realize they're not so important. So they're,
Exactly. So yes, there is a beautiful understanding of that. It's not about the end result, but it's actually about the magical perception, how your perceptions change,
yes,
how your attitudes change, how suddenly, everything is seen as alive with this very spirit of God, spirit
mm-hmm.
of life, whatever you want to call it. And then you start having a relationship with that spirit of life in all things. So it's not about getting things, it's about relating with things and being
Yes,
intimately connected. And isn't that what people want? We want intimacy, we want connection.
yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
the grandmother can take us into that
And
intimacy.
profound joy, and profound joy. Yes,
And with all dimensions,
yes,
and
yes.
with the elementals, the spirit beings, you realize that where our ability is so much greater and bigger and
Yeah.
wiser and wonderful. So that's where we can go to.
I'm in love. I'm in love with the.
uh,
I'm in love with the grandmother.
yeah, I mean, because you think of what a grandmother kids can give you,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Right. So it
Beautiful.
is, but that is if you're bringing that spaciousness and alignment. So it's a beautiful sense of the life force, your
Mm.
life force aligning with the life force of creation.
And I would say, it's the I what I hear you say. What's resonating with me is so much. What I believe we are starving for these days, which is wisdom,
Mhm.
which is the sense of walking the path of life,
Mhm.
living a life that, involves whatever you have to do every day. If you have a family, have a job, you know, but what I perceive is that most people, they get into an autopilot mode
Mhm.
so that they don't even need to think anymore. And this is very dangerous because, we are beings of light. The moment that we become, cell phone addicted beings that don't
Mhm.
have any space to create that zone in which we connect with higher wisdom, then
Mhm.
honestly, the planet is in danger. And so it feels like we're cut off from the life principle itself.
Mhm.
So what I hear you say is this huge call for magnificence, and yet the huge price we're paying for actually living life as if um, the three-dimensional, here, there, the job, the possessions, the what it is that the world tells you as being success
Yeah.
is it.
Mhm.
So that wisdom is so needed. and
Mhm.
uh, and I think there's a huge call for this wisdom these days, and to learn how to combine it with an everyday life. We're not talking here about going to a mountain and becoming
No.
some sort of recluse, right?
No. And
It's
you
not
see,
about that.
this is where all of the faces of the feminine come in. Because
Yes.
when we're walking in everyday life, we're going to be called upon for different aspects of our being to come forward. Some days we might need that daughter of light. We need the
Yes.
passion. We need the vision to come forward. We need new energy. Other times we need to go into that daughter of dark. We need to find, oh, I'm feeling jealous right now. Oh, I
Mm.
better go in and find the root of that. Or, oh, I'm feeling angry right now. What is the root of that? How can I transform it? How can I heal that? So, and then, how do I become the mother? How do I become the tender mother, the comforting mother? Or
Mm.
how do I become the fierce mother, the guardian? you know?
I was just going to say, can we move now to the lovingly fierce mother?
Absolutely. Well, I would say that I'll tell you a story about the first experience with this was actually in Italy, and it was to a beautiful little chapel that had a black Madonna. So this is a statue of a black mother, and as I entered the chapel, I instantly fell on my knees, just bam, down, and it was just instantaneous. And I felt the energy of this black Madonna. And it was literally coming into my being, and she was pulling out all of this old, ancient pain. Pain that I didn't even know was there. And it felt very much, Susie, like old feminine pain. All the pain of all the women, not just mine, but the pain when we've been dismissed, the pain of abuse, the pain of just being put down, the pain of not being trusted. It was just so much. And I felt her take this, and I literally saw this alchemical transformation of this energy, and what was returned to me was pure peace, pure loving, healing peace. So what my work with this mother, this lovingly fierce mother, is that she helps us with any of those places that we're fearful about, any of those places that we're still holding old trauma. She can take that, and she can transform that. She can heal it for us. She also can be incredibly fierce and really firm, because sometimes we just have this image of the mother as being tender and loving and sweet, and it's like, no, she's also really fierce, like the mother bear, and there's this fierceness that comes through that allows you to say no when you mean no. This fierceness that will come through to stand up for others who perhaps are not able to stand up for themselves, whether it's children or somebody who's just weakened in that moment.
It feels to me like you're talking about the principle of deep transmutation.
Yes.
Because at that moment, when you described the experience with the Black Madonna, you were representing the whole lineage of women. Behind you, perhaps ahead of you. So there was this collective energy of the female force, and then there was this sort of transmutation that took place and sort of sent all that toxicity back to earth so that it could become something else.
Yes.
It reminds me of Pluto. I'm an astrologer, so I feel like the Plutonic energy here.
Yeah, because
very painful, by the way. It's very painful, but it's tremendously cleansing.
Oh, yeah. And you know what I've discovered? That it's more painful hanging on to it.
Yes.
It's so much more painful hanging on to it.
Yes.
Really, this mother can do this transformation in a blink of an eye. I mean, really, it takes a couple of minutes at the most. And we'll hang on to it for years.
So she's the love shaman. She's like the love shaman, right?
I mean, it's nothing, right? She transmutes a little energy. She's like, yeah, what? So it's like, but we don't, because we don't want to feel it, we just bury it. Yes. And of course, then it's going to come out in all other ways, and it's always going to be gnawing at us anyway. But if we can really just bring it and feel it, we feel it for 1 or 2 minutes.
Yes.
And give it. And then we come back with that healing peace and just the relief of that.
Knowing that it can be transmuted into
Absolutely.
gold.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, and the message that was given me was, I am your mother. I am here to heal you, but you must come to me. Right? It's like she's not going to come in and force us to do it. We must come and say, here, take my pain.
Take my pain. And believe. I guess, you know, a lot of people that have a problem with prayer, is because deep inside there's this little voice that says, does it really work? Is there anybody really out there listening? And in my experience, personal experience, I have to say, a lot of people think I am a woman of great faith, but I observe myself in a lot of times doubting too. It's you know, it's so human to doubt, but it's also divine to go back and say, okay, I'm here again. I'm here again. I'm here again.
Well, you know what I would suggest? Just come and go, I am doubting. I give you my doubt.
I give you my doubt. Yes, exactly. There's nothing, you know, that I'm willing. There's no escape. And I know that all has come to your feet anyway. So, yeah. And the moment in which we give the whole of ourselves, I would say it's complete illumination, is the enlightenment that people look for, and yet it really requires, I would say, persistence.
It does. And also, which is interesting, is when we are really down, and when there's nowhere else to go, and we really just give it with all of our whole being, then we know it's true.
Yes.
Then we know it's true. But, you know, if we're kind of semi in pain, then it can be very easy to go, well, I'm not sure, maybe. But if we're really in pain,
that's what we say, right? You only go to church when the problems get really bad and you have to desperately, you know,
I know.
a miracle.
Nowhere else, nothing else has worked.
For me, one of the greatest realizations in my life was to know that, you know, the sweetest thing is you can do this every day of your life. And the more you do it, the more it gets real. It gets real. The muscles of trust get stronger.
It's true, because I also didn't believe in prayer. I would meditate every day, right? But I'd never pray. And people would ask me to pray for them, and I'd kind of hang up the phone and go, okay. And I never would. And I realized one day, I never pray. I come and sit in the silence. But then I had to get to the root of why I didn't think prayer worked, you know? And so that was a journey unto itself. But I've also been shown how deeply, and mostly prayer, we have a strange relationship because we don't really pray from the place of, we always praying for something. When we start praying for other people, something happens. You know, when we go beyond ourselves, and when we come into the deepest space of our being. So we're not praying from the small wounded nature, or the small painful nature, but we're praying from that inner essence. Then prayer comes in a very different way. You will pray things you've never even thought to pray. You will pray for people you don't even know. You know, it's like this divine energy comes through, and it just comes through you and out. And that is probably, I would say, Susie, one of the most humbling experiences that I would, say is in our world, is to have that divine energy come through, and for it to come out in a way for others that you have no knowledge of. It's just, because you are truly the vessel.
Oh my God. I Meghan, I could stay here with you another 36 hours minimum. I'm not sure if our listeners will
I know.
will bear with us. I suspect they would, but and I am like biting my tongue here because I want to say so many things, and we're coming to the end of our second part tonight. And wow, this is amazing. And I really would like to make some announcements because unfortunately we have to close the show now. But I would like to say that Meghan is going to be teaching a workshop called Birthing into Peace. And it's going to be on the East Coast in Connecticut from November 30th to December 2nd. It's going to be really, really, she was telling me perhaps a different approach to what we've been talking about. But hey, I've never been to with Meghan that I don't learn and share and go deep. So, you know, believe me, I highly recommend you to go. Another great opportunity to be with Meghan will be on December 14th to 16th on the East Coast as well. That's going to be on the Catskills in a monastery. Both of them will be in beautiful monasteries. And the title of the workshop is The Lovingly Fierce Nature of the Divine Mother. Oh my God, I think I'm going to be in this one. So,
it will get everybody prepared for Christmas, right?
Oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God.
Firmly in your being for when you go to your family.
Oh my God, oh my God. Don't forget, please, to check on Meghan's website. It is www.gnosticgrace.com. There's a lot of information down there. Buy this book. It's so good. It's so good. Buy this book. It's really good. And Meghan, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you tonight. Do you have a message that you would like to offer to close our interview? Something that people really need to know about the faces of the Divine Mother. They really need to know.
Well, I think first of all, to really have the desire to have that deep inner soul connection with all of who you are, to know the great possibilities of all these different energies of the daughter, the mother, the grandmother. And in knowing and doing this, you will come deeply into your being. You will stand deeply and be able to express yourself in such a multitude of ways that I think we've all felt very stifled as the feminine. So that these faces can give you the confidence to bring out all the different aspects of yourself, the creative aspects. And I would say it will bring out your voice. It will, I would also say in these times to persevere. Persevere with your path. Be consistent with a spiritual practice.
Yes.
Be kind to yourself. Create space in your life just for you and your soul to communicate. Let your soul communicate to you everything. Don't push anything away except the light and the goodness and the greatness, as much as all of the darkness and the difficult and the icky stuff. Bring it all, accept it all, love it all, and know that everything is working for your good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Meghan. It's been a pleasure, an honor. And I promise you guys that Meghan's going to be back. I don't know when, because I still have to discuss, you know, agenda details with her. But hopefully she will be back soon. So thanks for watching. This is Wisdom Chats. I am Susie Verde. We're going to have some great new interviews coming up in our next episodes. Please still stay tuned. Thank you very much. Have a good night.